Hello everyone, this is part 18 of What If Naruto Was the Child of the Moon in Percy Jackson, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Naruto didn't think that the conversation he had with his mom and Bianca, and subsequently with Percy took the whole night, but it didn't matter. At least, he was able to spend time with his mother after 2 years of staying in this world. What bummed him out though was the super dangerous quest his mother was going on. Apparently, it was dangerous for even the hunters to go on. He couldn't help but be worried about her. To get his mind off of it, he leaned on his mother's shoulder as he watched as the camp the hunters had set up was quickly taken down as fast as it was set up. Despite being the beacon of hope for his friends and for camp, he couldn't help but rest his head on his mom in comfort, treating it as a shield that protected him from the worries of the world. He wouldn't admit it, but he felt like a little kid that still hid behind his mom when things scared him. In the background, Percy's teeth chattered as the cold still penetrated his thick jacket. He told the others about what they talked about and the goddess' plan of sending the hunters to camp, causing the satyr to turn pale. Nico watched the interaction of the older demigods, not really understanding what was happening, while Bianca was studied him like she was worried about him or something. Then her resolve steeled and got the goddess' attention. Lady Artemis. I think I've made a decision. Artemis turned in her direction. Go on, child. The powers are good and all, but, her gaze shifted to her brother. I can't leave Nico behind. I know he will be hopeless without me. Hey, Nico protested, but Bianca stopped him for respect to the goddess. I admire your courage to choose your family over your own interest. Though I am not pleased with your decision, rest assured, I and the others will respect your decision, right girls? Artemis said. Though they were not pleased, a chorus of, yes, Artemis was heard from the hunters. What's going on? Nico asked. They did. And you didn't join? Talia asked, turning a nod from the young demigod. This gave her a smug look. That will teach that stuck-up hunter. She said that part as she looked at the hunter's lieutenant. Zoe saw this happen and spoke up. Do thee not think that I will hear thee? I am standing right here. The daughter of Zeus scoffed. I'm not even talking about you, girl. Why? Does it sound familiar? No. Zoe countered. Thy eyes looked at me when thee were talking. That's enough, girls. Artemis stopped the argument. He's here. Who is? Nico asked. Just wait and see, she answered. The sky began to brighten, causing Naruto to raise his head and Artemis to let out a huge sigh as she held the bridge of her nose and shook her head. About time, she muttered. He's so lazy at times like this. There was a burst of light from the horizon along with a burst of warmth. Everyone, avert your eyes, Artemis commanded, to which the demigods and hunters. The light and warmth intensified around them, causing those wearing winter jackets to feel overdressed. Then suddenly, the light died. Everyone looked to see a red glowing convertible Maserati Spider. Around the car, the snow had melted in a perfect circle, exposing the grass underneath. The car's driver stepped out, revealing a 17-year-old teen that bore a striking resemblance to a particular former counselor of the Hermes cabin, except he was taller and the scar his face was not there. He wore jeans, loafers and a sleeveless t-shirt. Wow. Apollo is so hot. Talia swooned, causing Naruto to narrow his eyes at her. Well, he is the sun god, Percy said. That's not what I meant, she rolled her eyes. So, I'm not the only one, huh? Grover teased. Someone else is a fangirl too, he. Oh, give it a break, Grover, the daughter of Zeus countered. At least mine's not as bad as yours. Grover couldn't think of a retort in time as the sun god spoke. Little sister, what's up? You never call nor write. I was beginning to get worried. For the billionth time, I am not your little sister, Artemis growled. Anyway, what's up? I see you brought the girls, he asked. Do you all need tips on archery? Doesn't it ever occur to you that this might be the reason that I don't ever call at all? Artemis asked. Who knows? Apollo shrugged. Maybe you're in trouble. Uncle Apollo, Naruto said, causing the argument of the two to stop. Isn't Carson older since she helped Leto batch and give birth to you? That earned a smirk from the goddess of the moon. Apollo, on the other hand, looked him intently as if trying to place him. Then, it clicked. He finally recognized who this blonde was. He rushed over to him and grabbed him under the arms, like a baby, and effortlessly raised him into the air, causing the blonde to blush. Uncle Apollo, Naruto protested as he was swung around. I'm not a kid anymore, you know. Oh nonsense, Apollo waved him off as he placed him down. Don't you realize you're the only nephew I would ever get from my little sister? I am not. Apollo ignored his twin's protests and continued talking. Besides, Lil Artie here's been keeping me from you. So, tell me, how many girls have fallen for you? Do you need some tips? Ahem. Artemis cleared her throat to get the sun god's attention. Oh, Artie, almost forgot about you. Apollo turned to his sister. What did you say you needed? I need a favor. I need to do some hunting alone. I need you to take them to Camp Half-Blood, Artemis said through gritted teeth. As Artemis finished her sentence, Apollo raised his hand in a stop everything gesture. A deep sigh escaped Artemis' lips. Oh, not again. I hear a haiku coming along. Groans could be heard all around the hunters as they prepared for something cringy to happen. The demigods just looked at them in confusion. Green grass breaks through snow. Artemis pleads for my help. I am so cool. He opened his eyes to look at his audience with a grin. The hunters were giving him looks saying, are you done? While the demigods looked like they didn't know how to place what happened. The last line was only 4 syllables. Artemis rolled her eyes. The grin disappeared from Apollo's face. Was it? Yes. What about, I am so big-headed? She suggested. Carson, that's 6 syllables, you know, Naruto corrected. He is right. He adopted a thinking pose. I don't know what is going on, Percy said. Lord Apollo has been going through a haiku phase ever since he visited Japan. 'Tis not as bad as the time he visited Limerick. If I'd hear one more poem that started with, there was a goddess from Sparta. I got it, the sun god announced. I am so awesome. He bowed looking very pleased with himself. You done now? Artemis asked. Because I need you to transport these demigods to camp. No problem. He looked over to them. Well, of course, there's my dear nephew. I heard what you were up to. You're becoming quite the legend yourself. Oh, I wouldn't say that, Naruto meekly said. Oh, nonsense, Apollo waved him off. How about I get the muses to sing you songs of praises the next time you are in Olympus? Not as much as me, of course. Then his gaze went over to Talia. You're Talia, right? I've heard about you. Talia blushed, which caused a small scowl to appear on Naruto's face. Hi Lord Apollo. Zeus girl, you're my half-sister. He turned you into a tree, right? Glad you're back. I hate it when girls turn into trees. I remember one time. Naruto leaned over to his mother as Apollo began to narrate his story. Wasn't that his fault? Yes, it is. But he wouldn't admit that, Artemis answered, then she cleared her throat to get her twin's attention. Brother, the transport. Oh right, hang on, his gaze shifted again. This time looking at the son of Poseidon who still had the bow tied to his hair and the lipstick marks on his face were now smudged. Apollo looked at him with his expression all serious. Percy Jackson. Yeah, I mean, yes sir. He answered. Unlike with the others, Apollo studied the young boy carefully without saying a thing, creeping the poor boy out. There was uncomfortable silence, making the sound of the crickets in the background sound louder than it should. Well, we better load up, he finally said. Cool car, Nico said, once again amazed by what he was seeing. Thanks, kid, Apollo said. But how will we all fit? Nico asked. Now that you mention it, he said, as if mentioning it only now. Well, I'll have to switch it up for the time being. He took out his car keys and pressed the security button. Chirp, chirp. For a moment, the car glowed brightly. When the glare died, standing in the place of the Maserati was one of those turtle-top shuttle buses, the one used by schools for basketball games. All right, Apollo clapped his hands together. Everybody in. Naruto looked over to his mother. I guess there's no changing your mind, huh Carson? I am afraid so, my son, Artemis said. For the sake of Olympus and this world, I have to go. The council does not know how much danger we are currently in. And there's no chance you'll bring anyone with you. Naruto once again tried. This mission is going to be dangerous, Naruto, Artemis ruffled his hair. I cannot risk anyone else, especially you. Before Naruto could answer, Apollo let out a loud oof which broke the two out of their conversation. Apollo, Artemis, her voice dangerously calm. What did I tell you about flirting with my hunters? I do not help your hunters. I do not look at, talk to, or flirt with your hunters. Apollo waved her off as he got over the blow on his stomach. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. So, where are you headed? Apollo asked as he righted his posture. It's none of your business, Artemis blasted. Oh, I will know, Apollo said. I am the god of prophecy after all. Just get him to camp, you hear me? Artemis reiterated. No messing around. Oh, Olympus, no, I never mess around, Apollo said. Artemis' gaze went to Zoe. You are in charge of the hunters while I'm gone. Do well, do as I do. Zoe straightened. Yes, milady. Then, her gaze returned to Naruto. Could you keep an eye on your uncle Apollo? I don't trust him around your sisters. You can count on me, Carson, Naruto said. But, are you worried about me, my child? Artemis asked, cupping his cheeks. Naruto nodded, then snuggled into her touch. Have faith in me, son, Artemis continued. And if it's any consolation, I'll keep an eye out for you lost friend as well. Naruto's eyes brightened. You will. You have my word, Artemis reassured him. So, she must be someone special to you. Naruto hummed with confusion on his face. I don't know. I'm sorry I can't give you any advice, my child. This is not my expertise, but rest assured, leave the search to me. It's all right, Carson. I know you will find her, you know. With one last hug, Artemis turned around and knelt down on the ground as if looking for tracks. She rose, looking troubled. So much danger, she muttered to herself. The beast must be found. Naruto turned to see Zoe had turned and boarded the bus. Apollo had a mischievous smile on his face and said, So, about those girls, I'll turn you into a real heartbreaker worthy of Apollo. Artemis heard Apollo's statement and cleared her throat, getting the sun god's attention. Apollo saw the goddess' irritated look and let out a nervous laugh. I mean, I'll teach you how to treat the ladies so they won't get heartbroken. That's what I thought, Artemis said, and with one last wave at her son, jogged towards the wooded area and disappeared into the foliage. Naruto boarded the bus. He entered the bus to see that the hunters had piled themselves at the back of the bus, while the demigods and Grover occupied the front seats. Talia gestured to him to take the empty seat next to her, to which the blonde happily obliged. So, you finally met your mom, huh? Talia said after Naruto sat down. Wish I could meet my dad. Come on, don't be like that, Naruto comforted her. You will see him eventually. Although, I don't think he would be as expressive as Okasan, you know. Naruto, that's not helping, Talia said. Sorry, but still, at least we got each other, right? Naruto said. I suppose, Talia said, squeezing Naruto's hand. The moment was broken when Nico squealed in delight at the thought of riding the sun chariot to be exact. This is so cool. Is this really the sun? I thought Helios and Selene were the sun and moon gods. How come sometimes it's them and sometimes it's you and Artemis? Nico, don't be rude, Bianca said, reeling in her brother. It's okay, fair lady, Apollo said, earning a blush from the young demigod. It's a good question. Uncle Apollo, she's only 12, Naruto reminded the god. Relax, dear nephew. It was just a compliment, Apollo said. To answer your question, young demigod, it's called downsizing. Downsizing? Percy asked. Yes. Apollo nodded. The Romans started it since they couldn't afford all those temple sacrifices, so they laid off Helios and Selene and chucked the job descriptions over to me and Artemis. At first, I was bummed out, but then I looked at the good side. This car pretty neat, isn't it? But how does it work? Nico continued asking. Isn't the sun a big hot ball of gas? Apollo chuckled. That's probably, 'cause Artemis used to call me a big fiery ball of gas. And it's still true, you know. Naruto interrupted. Look, Nico, it depends on your perspective, whether you're talking about science or mythology. Bingo, my nephew is so smart. Probably got it from me, Apollo praised. No, Naruto shot him down, but Apollo ignored him. Apollo ignored Naruto's statement and continued, this chariot is built upon humans' hopes and dreams about the sun. It keeps you mortals warm, powers your engines, makes everything look sunnier. Every day, I drive this baby from east to west, lighting up your mortal lives. It takes the form of whatever you humans perceive it. Makes sense. Nico shook his head. You lost me at mythology. But that's, Apollo stuttered. Never mind. TL. Doctor, it's just as a really powerful, super dangerous solar car. Cool. Nico said. Can I drive? No, you're too young. Ooh. Grover raised his hand as if he were in class. No. Apollo said. Too furry. He didn't pay Percy any mind, this time skipping him and moving straight to Talia, who was hiding behind Naruto, knowing how the bus will travel, but that didn't stop Apollo from spotting her. Ah yes. Daughter of Zeus. Apollo said. Eep. Talia let out a small squeal as she made herself smaller in a desperate attempt to hide. And no, thanks. Come on. Apollo said. How old are you? That got the attention of Grover and Percy as they looked. Even Talia came out from hiding. I don't know, she said. It wasn't wrong. Talia was a special case. If she didn't get turned to a tree and continued aging normally, she would be around the same age as Luke, around 19. But, alas, Chiron said she continued aging as a tree, but at a slower rate. Well, no one really understood it, so they didn't question it. Apollo tapped his fingers to his lips. You're 15, almost 16. How'd you know? Naruto frowned. I'm the god of prophecy. I know stuff. You'll be 16 in about a week. Apollo explained. That surprised Talia. That's my birthday. December 22nd. Really? Naruto said. I'd better buy you a gift then. Oh, Naruto, you don't have to, Talia refused. No, I insist, Naruto said with a grin on his face. That's my nephew capturing the hearts of the ladies, Apollo mused. Now, since you're almost old enough to get a learner's permit, how about I teach you to drive? Talia fidgeted on the spot, trying to refuse the god of the sun. Now, I know what you're gonna say, Apollo waved him off. You don't deserve the honor of driving the sun chariot. Uncle Apollo, Naruto sighed, finally getting light of the situation. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but she's not comfortable driving, isn't that right, Talia? Talia let out a nervous laugh. I'm kind of afraid of heights. That's a weird phobia for a daughter of Zeus, Apollo said. Yes, it is, Naruto nodded. So, can we just get going? This definitely counts as messing around. Carson won't be happy. Sorry, Lord Apollo, Talia apologized. Maybe when we're driving on the ground I could learn how to drive. I guess I couldn't force you, Apollo's voice trailed off. Or risk the wrath of Carson, Naruto added, causing the sun god to turn pale. Right, Apollo said. All aboard to Camp Half-Blood. Percy didn't look too happy. He was going to fly up into the sky again, the domain of Zeus. The said god's warning still rang in his head, making him pale up the same way Apollo did when he was reminded of the goddess' wrath. You okay? Grover asked. I hope Zeus is in a good mood today, was all the son of Poseidon's reply. Grover looked at him with sympathy and patted his shoulder. Apollo took the wheel and started the bus. For a magical bus, it still worked like a normal mortal vehicle. Naruto decided not to question that. Answer, the engine started and pretty soon, they were on their way. Percy and Talia gripped tightly as the bus slowly lurched upward and climbed up high enough for the objects look like dots from the window. Naruto, can we switch places? Talia requested. Sure, why not? Naruto obliged as the blonde scooted over to the window side of the bus. Naruto had to admit that flying was quite the experience. Despite being his second time to travel up in the vast expanse, the experience still exhilarates him. No amount of climbing high-rise buildings or the highest trees in the forest surrounding Konoha could ever close to this experience. Something about flying up at this height just makes you feel free, you know. To the new demigods, this was a different experience altogether. Sure, they had taken an airplane when that weird lawyer brought them to Las Vegas back in, funny, neither Bianca nor Nico remember when they went there, but that's not important for the moment. The point is, flying in an airplane is one thing. Flying in a magical school bus that's the sun we see traveling west every day is another thing. Saying that statement still weirds me out even now. Cool, Nico said. We're on a bus, but everything down there is so tiny. Bianca didn't reel in her brother this time. He looked to Naruto, who had his face buried on the window. She wondered how someone who seems so mature at times could also seem like a little kid at other times. She made a mental note to ask Naruto about that when she finds the time. She might have not noticed, but her cheeks were heating up as she watched the blonde. As the blonde continued his sightseeing, it was disrupted when he felt someone gently grab onto his hand. He turned to see Talia with her eyes closed tightly, trying to forget about the situation they were in. The bus shuddered, encountering turbulence, causing Talia to hold on even tighter on Naruto's hand. Ow, Naruto complained. Talia gave him a sheepish look. Sorry. It's all right, Naruto said. Don't you want a look of the view? It is amazing, you know. For a moment, Talia had a look of curiosity on her face, but as fast as it appeared, the more rational, danger-sensing part of her brain took over and shot down his offer. No, not a chance. Percy was no better. Whenever the bus shuddered, he grabbed onto the seats of the bus like his life depended on it. It was like every shake of the bus's metal meant that the Lord of the Sky was sending a lightning bolt to shoot him down. Not to worry, Apollo finally said. Zeus won't blast the sun chariot out of the sky. It would cause an imbalance in the normal flow of things. Even he abides by some laws. Funny, he abides by laws, but he doesn't follow his oaths, Naruto joked, causing the experienced demigods and Grover to look at him with a shocked expression. What? Isn't it true? Anyway, he wouldn't risk blasting you with the hunters in the same vehicle. She would go ballistic if that happened, you know. That helped even just a little. At least, it made the ride to camp a little more bearable. But Naruto badmouthing the king of the gods wasn't really helping at all. Relax, my dear passengers, Apollo said. Just sit back, relax and enjoy the ride. Camp Half-Blood. Apollo wasn't kidding when he said it was just a short drive from Maine to Long Island. Well, to be fair, they were traveling up in the sky, so there was no stupid New York City traffic and other traffic from other cities too. Up in the sky, everyone could see the layout of the valley which contained the home for the children of the gods. They saw the beach, the dining pavilion, the cabins, the amphitheater, and the woods. You might be wondering why I listed the woods last, even though it was one of the first things you would see from the sky. Well, when you were at ground level, you wouldn't notice it, but from far up above, you could see a clump of trees that seemed like they weren't part of the forest itself. Naruto had been exploring the forest during his time at camp, but he had to admit it was the first time he saw this before. The bus slowly descended to camp right next to the canoe lake. Talia and Percy looked a little better this time, now that they were on the ground. Talia was so relieved that she forgot she was hand in hand with Naruto. We have arrived at our destination, Apollo said. Thank you for riding Air Apollo, the most gorgeous airline in the world. Can I have my hand back now? Naruto asked. Talia's face colored a tinge of pink when she realized this and quickly pulled away. Sorry. No biggie, Naruto said. Now, let's go see camp. I kinda miss the place after being away for so long, you know. Naruto descended the steps of the bus to watch sea camp and stared in awe at what he was seeing. Normally, the camp's magic doesn't allow weather to enter, but it seems that Mr. D allowed the snow to fall lightly within the borders. To complete the theme of the season, the cabins were adorned with tiny flickering Christmas lights, except these ones seemed that they were made up of real fire. Nico appeared beside him asking a bunch of questions about the camp. Then, there came Zoe and the hunters. We'll be at cabin 8 when you need us, Zoe said. And you, do not join us. Yeah, I get it, Naruto sighed. I better think of where I could bunk while they're here. Take care, sweethearts. Apollo hollered over to them, to which he was naturally ignored, but that didn't get the god spirits down. Well, I'll be off, Apollo said. The world needs some of its sun. Watch out for prophecies. What? Everyone asked him. He didn't answer that, he just boarded his bus. The god pressed a button and the bus morphed into a red, steaming Maserati. See ya, everyone, Apollo said as he revved up his engine. Bye, Uncle Apple, Naruto said, earning snickers from the nickname. He stopped his engine for a while. What did you call me? Uncle Apple. I just thought about that one the way here, Naruto explained. A nice nickname for ya, you know. I'm sure you can come up with something better, Apollo said. Nah, Naruto shook his head. Not a chance. I'm sure you can do better. Well, have to go. Bye, he said as he revved his engine and the car pulled up higher and higher until it disappeared in a ray of sunlight. A Maserati revved into the morning, getting the attention of all the campers present. Since it was winter solstice, there were less campers here than in summer, since most of them only trained at the said season. But what was sad was there was even less campers that were left. You could say that this is because most the campers were back at the homes of their mortal parents, but even still, the number of children present is still way less than what you would expect. This greatly saddened Naruto and Percy. Several of the campers came forward to greet the newcomers. Some of them had a look of jealousy in their faces, but Naruto and Percy understood since they rode in the sun chariot of Apollo. One thing weird though was the demigods who walked towards them were covered in grime and dirt like they had been training. And thing is, they were training. Ah, nice to see you haven't gotten yourself killed, Naruto. A masked adult came wearing a bodysuit that reached up to his face, a Camp Half-Blood t-shirt, jeans and shoes on his feet. He gave the same vibes as Naruto, but he was fitting right in. You better get that thought out of your mind, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto answered. I'm not the same kid I was before. Oh, I don't think I have seen you here before, Grover said. Well, I am new here and I believe I am what you people term as a demigod, the masked man explained. Whoa, Percy said. You've grown to adulthood. It may be surprising, but it does happen in rare occasions, Grover stated. Well, that is quite interesting, but I have yet to introduce myself, the masked man said. I am Kakashi Hatake, Naruto's Jonin instructor in the Elemental Nations. Here I will be your combat instructor. I understand your choice of weapons are swords and spears, and honestly, I prefer to use the kunai myself, but I have had experience going against said weapons in the past, so I hope I can still give you the knowledge you need to fight. It's nice to hear you introduce yourself with more than just your name, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto commented. Well, you see I didn't like you back then in your first day, so sue me, Kakashi countered. Geez, Naruto, what did you do to get on your teacher's bad side and on the first day to boot? Talia asked. Oh, he pulled a silly prank on me. It was the old eraser on an ajar door prank, Kakashi answered for him. And I got you good too, Naruto let out a hearty laugh. Besides, you were very late back then. Grover and Percy sighed. Why am I not surprised? Percy said. Even back then you were still a prankster, Grover sweat dropped. And a pretty good one to boot, Naruto beamed. I'll tell you a little secret, Naruto, Kakashi said. What if I told you I let you prank me before? What? Naruto replied confused. But you were so clueless back then. Well, I pretended to do get caught as a test if you three were working as a team or not, Kakashi explained. Naruto resigned in defeat, but he immediately perked up, dang it. Next though, I'll get you for sure. Well then, I'll be waiting Naruto. Don't try too hard, Kakashi said. Anyway, speaking of teamwork, everyone let's continue the training. I was told by our activities director that whenever the hunters are here, you have a friendly game of capture the flag, and I understand we are yet to win a game against them. The campers looked down in frustration at what the Jonin had said, but what he said next gave everyone the look of determination. So, take my training seriously and we might just be able to win a game against them. Earlier, the campers looked exhausted, but now, they were ready to continue the training with renewed energy. Now, if you'll excuse me, Kakashi told the group. We'll have to resume now and he is expecting you. Sure, Kakashi-sensei. See ya later, Naruto said. The big house. It turns out even this camp of Greek demigods still goes with the seasons that the mortals celebrate. Stir. Strings of red and yellow fireballs decorated the wall without burning the wood behind it. Inside, a hearth crackled and the air smelled like hot chocolate. As usual, Mr. D and Chiron were playing pinochle in the parlor. Chiron grew out his beard and his hair for the winter months. He didn't have to pose as a teacher so he could afford to be unkempt. He was wearing a fuzzy sweater with a hoofprint design on it and a blanket lay on his lap covering the fake feet he had underneath. Hey Chiron. Naruto greeted. Ah, Naruto, Chiron gave out a smile. I take it your training with the toads went well. Of course, Naruto beamed. Sorry for not coming by earlier. When I heard these guys were in trouble, I just had to help. Well, thank you for bringing them back safely, Naruto, Chiron said, but his smile faded when he noticed the distinct lack of a certain daughter of Athena. But where's Annabeth? That's just it, Chiron, Naruto explained. She got taken. I wasn't fast enough. Oh dear, Mr. D said it like he didn't mean it. Plot twist, he really didn't mean it. Not another lost one. Percy and Talia flashed him an irritated look. They were trying their best to ignore him, but he was kind of hard to ignore. Why? With that neon orange leopard skin warm-up suit and purple running shoes, who could miss him? Percy placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. No one blames you for what happened, man. Seaweed brain's right, Naruto. We all were caught off guard, Talia added. Then, Percy turned to Chiron and asked, what did Mr. D mean about another lost camper? Chiron gave him a look that told Percy that they would talk about it later, then his gaze shifted to the two new faces that were with his longtime campers. I see you were able to bring back two new additions to our camp. Yes, Chiron, Grover answered. We don't know their parentage, but their scent is strong. The satyr gestured the two to step forward. Bianca gave a small wave to greet the activities director, while Nico looked amazed by what he was seeing. That wasn't saying much since he was amazed by almost anything. You must be Bianca and Nico, Chiron said. Welcome to camp. He then turned to Grover and said, will you take these two children to watch the orientation film? Is it G or PG? Bianca asked. It's PG-13, Grover answered. She turned to look at Nico. Oh, I don't know, Nico's too young for those. The said boy sent a pleading glance to his sister. It's be fine, Bianca, Naruto said. It isn't that bad. Well, if you say so, she relented. Everyone, except Mr. D, watched as Grover led the two new demigods into the room where they would be watching the film. Small smiles tugged at their lips as Nico cheered about Bianca allowing him to watch a PG-13 film. Once they were out of sight, Chiron turned to the demigods and said, now, perhaps you could enlighten us about what happened. A few minutes later, Percy and Talia were the ones in charge of telling the story of what happened to them in Maine. Naruto just listened to the story as he wasn't there when it happened. Talia still seemed mad at Percy for acting rashly and going on ahead to confront the monster on his own. When they were done, Chiron had a crestfallen expression on his face, but he still managed to stay strong. He turned to Mr. D and said, we should launch a search for Annabeth immediately. Naruto, Percy and Talia burst out volunteering themselves to the quest to search for the demigod. Certainly not, Mr. D said with finality, but that didn't stop the demigods from complaining and arguing back. The usually laid-back camp director raised his hand with a purple aura surrounding him, a certain sign that the god was about to do something bad. That did the trick to silence the three of them. Even Naruto, who was normally defiant, knew better than to answer back to God, especially to a god who doesn't take kindly to his defiance. From what you told me, he continued, we have broken even in this escapade, gotten ahead even. The way I see it, despite losing our Annabeth. Annabeth, Naruto grumbled. Yes, whatever and all that, he waved him off. You have procured two more demigods who have the potential to be powerful at that. Therefore, I see no need to send a quest to retrieve her. Right, you're saying we leave her there to die, Naruto muttered to himself, but the god heard it. He balled his hands onto a fist so hard, his fingers turned white. She would have to be smart enough to escape on her own. If not, she may as well be dead. Mr. D said. That was the last straw for Naruto. He couldn't take it anymore. He just stood up and left. Sorry about that, Chiron, Percy said as they watched the blonde leave. He just has a lot on his mind right now. Talia nodded. Not only does he blame himself for Annabeth's loss, his mother also went on the super dangerous quest. Chiron sighed. I suppose that it can't be helped. Let's just leave him to gather his thoughts. We'll look for him later, Talia said. In the meantime, do not fear for Annabeth's life, Chiron said, but he was having a hard time staying upbeat. She's a smart demigod. She will try to play for time. And if worst comes to worst, there's still the fact that Luke may very well want her alive. You're right, Talia nodded. Luke will try to get her to their side. Percy had been holding it in ever since he met the lazy god who didn't care any of them in the camp. His anger was fueled back in summer when the activities director position was given to Tantalus, and the god still didn't care if the camp would be destroyed or not. Now, the god didn't care about a missing camper, he just snapped. You don't care about us here, do you? You'd like it if we all disappeared. Percy, calm down, Chiron said with a tone drenched in warning, but with the boy's anger, he didn't heed it. You have a point. The god stifled a yawn. Yeah, Percy growled. Just because you were sent here as a punishment, it doesn't mean you have to be a lazy jerk. This is your civilization too. Maybe you could try helping a little. Are you done? Mr. D asked. Percy didn't answer. After saying his piece and the adrenaline rush gone, he realized who he was speaking out against. He realized that this could be very well his last words on Earth. But the thing is, he didn't care. He knew he was right. Answer: Percy continued his standoff with the god despite the threat of destruction. Dionysus looked like he was going to cast a spell, but an unlikely savior came in the form of a cheering boy. So cool, Nico yelled, holding his hands out to Chiron. You're a centaur. Sorry about this, Chiron, Bianca apologized. We're just surprised is all. It's not a problem, child. To be honest, we're expecting you to be still in denial or still can't believe what the video told you, Chiron said. And yes, Mr. D'Angelo, though I prefer to stay in my human form for our first encounters. Bianca sent a thankful smile. But Nico, well, he ran up to the god and yelled, "Whoa. You're the wine dude." That did the trick to get the god's attention away from Percy. He gave Nico a look of loathing. "I beg your pardon. Did you say wine dude?" Dionysus, right, Nico said. "Oh wow, I've got your figurine." Nico went on to explain the hit points and defense points all the gods in game. As they listened to Nico drone on, Talia remembered the last bit of news they had to tell the centaur. "Oh yeah, and Chiron," Talia said, causing the centaur to turn his head to them. "The hunters came here with us." Chiron gave out a grave look. Then, "May I ask you to remind the others about the game tonight?" "I think they already know, Chiron," Percy said. "But we'll still spread the word." "Thank you. Now run along now." Chiron shooed him away before Mr. D realized a demigod had talked back to him. Talia dragged Percy until they were away from the big house. When she judged that they had put a distance between them and the porch, Talia said, "You've already got Ares on your bad side, remember?" Percy remembered that he and Naruto had provoked the god of war into a fight 2 summers ago. One immortal enemy was bad enough. Another was just asking for misfortune to come your way. To make it worse, you even face the wrath of the god's demigod children. So, bottom line is you better be as respectful as you can when in the presence of a god. "Sorry," Percy apologized. "It's just unfair." "Everything is unfair, Percy," Talia said. "Especially for us mortals." Percy figured that the daughter of Zeus was speaking from experience. After all, she did die years and only just recently come back to life. Now, she finds out that Luke has betrayed camp, and then Annabeth had gotten kidnapped. So, he didn't feel like arguing, since in the end, she was right. "I guess you're right. So, any idea on where we could find Naruto?" Percy asked, changing the subject. "I think I know where to find him," Talia said, but their conversation was broken when they heard a commotion from the basketball court. Some of the hunters were shooting some hoops, but one of the kids from the Ares cabin argued with them. It was only a matter of time until the argument turned into a no-holds-barred brawl. "Can you break up the fight and tell the others about the game tonight?" Talia said. "I'll go look for that idiot." "Sure, I'll handle it," Percy said. "But first, sorry about what happened in Westover Hall. If Naruto or the hunters hadn't showed, he didn't need to complete that." "Soke, Percy. Even though I got mad at you, I would have done the same thing." She shifted from foot to foot. "I guess I'm sorry too about snapping at you when you asked about it, it's just." Percy knew his boundaries. He knew he struck a chord when he asked about it, so now, he didn't feel the need to know about it anymore. "No, it's okay. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to." "No, it's okay. One way to get over it." She took a deep breath. "When we came back from Naruto's world, I went back to our old house after all this time. I found out she died in LA. Shush, she was a heavy drinker, and she went out drinking one night." Percy looked down. "That's rough, sorry for asking." "Yeah, well, it's not like we were close or anything, not ever since she lost my." She looked at Percy trying to look strong. "Anyway, after that, I didn't see the need to stay with her, so I ran away. Those were the best 2 years of my life, well, until you guys got the fleece and got me out of the tree, that idiot." A small smile tugged on her lips. She then wiped the rogue tears that didn't bend to her wool and said, "So, catch you later. We can show the hunters who's the best at capture the flag." "You got it," Percy answered. After that, Talia jogged up the hill that housed the pine tree made from her own life force. With Naruto. Naruto was so mad at himself for being useless in the fight despite his training. I know you might call me out for being the third time I have said this, but it really hit Naruto. He trudged up the old tree that he used to visit. Despite Talia being free from his tree ever since they returned with the golden fleece that now hangs from the lowest branch of the pine tree, it still felt right to come back here. The dragon, Peleus, had grown bigger from when he last saw him. He didn't feel surprised anymore. Maybe he was used to it after seeing a Kamaru. Well, he briefly raised his head to check who was the newcomer, but he immediately lay it down when he saw that it was just Naruto. Hey big guy, Naruto said. I guess I can't call you little guy anymore. Mind if I join you? That earned a grunt of approval from the growing dragon. Thanks, Naruto said as he sat down on the tree. He jumped to one of the highest branches and sat there staring at the sky, berating himself for his failure. After all the training you have to endure, just one mistake or lapse in judgment could still cost you your life. Then his mind drifted to his mother. Even she was scared of the threat to come. And after meeting the force of the Mad Titan's forces on the ship, it was clear that the threat his mother was scared of had something to do with them. I figured I would find you here, a voice stated, bringing him out of his thoughts. He briefly looked down to check who it was and saw Talia watching him lie on the ground. You know, it feels weird seeing my old tree like this, Talia said. Tell me about it, Naruto answered. Remember when we used to hang out in your limbo? Yeah, Talia's voice trailed off. Your company made things easier even if just a little. So, what are you doing here? Naruto asked. Thought you were talking Chiron. We're done. Now I have to come and pick a certain idiot out of the dirt, Talia explained. Wonder who the idiot is. Naruto mused as he stared at the clouds. You are the idiot, idiot. Talia scolded. Now, I will join you there whether you like it or not. She said with a bit of reluctance. Knock yourself out. I'm sure the big guy here won't mind, he replied. But how are you going to get up here? There was another grunt of affirmation came from the snoozing dragon. Though, to Naruto, it suspiciously sounds like a snore, but his mind translated it, so all suspicions were shot down. Talia gave him an angry look, but Naruto could hear the reluctance in her voice. Come down here and get me, you idiot. Are you sure? It's quite high up here. Naruto pressed. Can you pick a lower branch? She tried to act tough but it wasn't working. Okay, Naruto said as he jumped down and landed nimbly in front of the girl. Hold on to me, he ordered gently. Talia still looked like she didn't want to, but she still did. Once she grabbed onto the blonde, he jumped up to the spot he was lying at earlier. The daughter of Zeus had her eyes tightly closed, still scared by the thought of going up high. I suggest you open your eyes, Naruto said. Just don't look down. Her eyes slowly opened to see the sublime view of camp. The high vantage point let them see everything at camp. They saw Percy at the Ares cabin talking to a sleeping camper. There were the hunters of Artemis playing basketball on the court. They were surprisingly sharing it with the Apollo campers on the other side. Beyond the camp, the waves splashed onto shore. You could see the treetops from the forest along with that suspicious bundle of different trees. Whoa, Talia said. Pretty cool, huh? Naruto said. She just nodded, but she remembered she was high up in the trees and the fear overtook her, making her grab and hold onto Naruto, pressing her body as close as possible to the blonde. Why don't we just watch the clouds? Naruto suggested as he lay down on the branch. He let out a chuckle as Talia lay down next to him. That cloud looks like Percy's face. Well, the shape is at least. You won't make me forget why I'm here, Naruto, even if we are high up here, Talia said. Well, it was worth a shot, Naruto shrugged. Talia smiled. So, tell me, what's on your mind? The smile disappeared from Naruto's face as he felt sad all of a sudden. Why is life so unfair? We train to get stronger, but one mistake and you're done. There will always be those strong monsters that even the training here can't help you. And, why does that stupid Titan have to rise up anyway? You know, if you told me that you and Percy weren't really brothers, I wouldn't believe you, Talia said. Well, I already considered him my brother even before his mother officially welcomed me into their family, Naruto explained. Why'd you bring it up? 'Cause he complained to me about the same thing, Talia said. I guess like minds think alike, Naruto said. But you are acting a lot different from the stories Percy told me about you, she stated. Where's the headstrong Naruto who got me out of the tree? He's still here, Naruto answered. It's just, should I only be the one who is always strong? Well, it can't be helped if people look up to you, Talia said. Look at me. My dad's Zeus, everyone expects me to lead. Look, not all circumstances are always in your favor and complaining won't get you anywhere. You can mope all day if you want, but that only gets you depressed. So, that's why we always do what we can no matter how small it is. I understand that's how you did, and still do things. Wow, that's surprisingly profound, Naruto teased. Of course. Talia rolled her eyes. You don't stay in limbo for 6 years without being able to think things through. Now, are you still going to mope around? Naruto smiled, you drive a hard bargain. If I ever catch you moping again, Talia warned. I won't let you down, Mom. Naruto said with a mock salute, causing Talia to punch him in the shoulder, but she still joined the blonde in his fits of laughter. The two of them stopped laughing and noticed that the gazes had intersected. They both opened their eyes and stared into each other's eyes. This caused the both of them blush at the close contact. But then, something crossed the daughter of Zeus' mind, which reminds me, I might be captain later for Capture the Flag. Naruto looked intrigued. Oh really, who's playing with who? It's camp versus the hunters, Talia answered. Naruto's eyes widened, this might be my chance. He didn't need to finish his statement. Talia understood what he meant. From the stories that Naruto had told him of his childhood when she was still stuck in that tree, Naruto's life had been about acknowledgement, getting the village to acknowledge his existence, getting his Sasuke to acknowledge his strength, and getting Sakura to acknowledge his feelings for her. Okay, that last part wasn't the best example to state, okay, I'll swap it out, so, and getting his teachers in the academy to acknowledge his progress, happy now. Anyway, now it wasn't any different. This time he had to get a bunch of immortal maidens to acknowledge him as a brother. Now this one might be a tall task, but that wouldn't stop Naruto from pursuing it, no matter how difficult it is. So, you ready to go back? Talia asked. I am, Naruto answered. And, thank you, Talia. Don't mention it, Talia said. I know you would do the same for me. Now, I'm hungry. As Naruto said that, a conch horn blew in the distance signaling the campers to make their way to dining pavilion. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.